fabulous morning on all who joined us, especially our guest speaker. With great joy and immense exaltation, on behalf of FDP organizing team, the Department of Business Administration and Information System Management of Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to you all for the fifth day FDP series. We have successfully conducted last 4 day FDP effectively. The topic of today's FDP is change management. Matram Ondre Maradadu, a topic indeed in the current scenario. I promise we're going to have a great session ahead. Now, I request our Honorable Principal, Dr. V. Nagachodi, sir. Sir, you hardly need any introduction. You have made all of us proud with your distinguished work in various numerous areas. I request you to deliver a presidential address.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good morning to one and all those who are present here for this faculty development program on business admin and become IS. I cordially welcome our professor, Dr. Anish Fathima, who is coming from MIASE, our New College Institute of Management, which was earlier known and who is also a close friend of mine, to address our audience. And we feel proud that Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College is committed to impart high quality education to the people, those who are coming from rural and semi-urban areas in India. And after I took over here as a principal, that there are a large number of developmental activities that we have started concentrating on. And faculty development is one such a program where it is possible for the teachers to acquire more knowledge and what are the current things that are happening today in management area. That's why we have chosen this particular topic today, what our professor is going to address. And I'm also thankful to our management for giving constant encouragement and support to us whenever we organize faculty development program, our national seminars, our international webinars. And there are larger things that we have taken in the last 2 years. And the ma'am is with us today, and she is an expert in that area what she has chosen. And ma'am is going to address today on this very nice occasion of faculty development program in management. So, with this a few words, I'll hand over back this session to ma'am for further proceedings. Thank you so much, and I cordially welcome Dr. Anish Fathima to this FD. So, thank you very much, first.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time to introduce our eminent speaker, Aneesh Fatima, ma'am. She is assistant professor in Miyazi Institute of Management. She has more than 18 years of experience in teaching undergraduate and postgraduate. She even worked at Panimalar Engineering College for 6 years. She completed MBA, MPhil, NET, SET, and she is a Viva was waiting doctorate. She has published more than 8 journals nationally and internationally. Also, she has presented more than 8 papers in international and national conference. She attended nearly 30 workshops and seminars in various topics. In her work experience, so many committees were led under her headship. She been contributed her knowledge as a guest speaker in various colleges too. Certainly, we are fortunate to have you here, ma'am. Now the session is yours. Please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be the chief guest speaker for this FTP program. I would like to thank the principal, Dr. Nagachoti, and Ms. Rani, ma'am, for this great opportunity to be a part of this program. The topic given is change management. Yeah. So the learning objective of this program is you'll be knowing at the end of the session the reasons for resistance to change and how to address them, and what is change and what is change management, what are the levels of change, the types of organizational change, forces of organizational change, principles of change management model, steps in change management, phases of change management, and lastly, the factors to be considered for successful change management. So these are the knowledge which we are going to get from this session. I would like to ask you, all the participants here, if we are given a choice to change, how many of us would like to embrace it? Not everyone, right? This is because of the resistance which we have within us. So, when you look at the resistance, I would like to discuss the resistance part before getting into the change and change management. Because when we clear the hurdles, resistance, it will be, fine to move ahead. That's the reason why I would like to discuss the resistance part at the beginning itself. So, there are three types of resistance. The first thing is logical resistance. This kind of resistance basically arises from the time people genuinely take to adapt and adjust to changes. For example, when computers became common, accountants had to shift from accounting on paper to digital accounting. This naturally takes time to adapt to. So the same thing when GST was introduced by the central government. So initially, people and corporates, especially the SMEs, startups, small firms, hesitate and they feel reluctant to adapt to the GST. But without option, they become now familiar at this time. So the time takes to be familiar. Till such time they feel resistance. That is called as the logical resistance. The second category is psychological resistance. This arises due to fear of unknown state, because when we speak about change, it is moving from current state to the desired state. So we are in the transformation or transition from one state to the another state, and the desired state is not very clear unless otherwise we reach that particular desired state. So due to this unknown fear and less tolerance to change, and sometimes dislike towards the management, these are the causes that creates resistance in the mentality of the employees. The next kind of resistance is sociological resistance. Here, though individual may be interested for change, but still something will stop him from doing so. Why? Because of the common values and customs of groups. So here, due to peer pressure from the group, the individuals, though they are interested, but they will not show interest towards change. So one such example is if trade union protest against new management policies, all workers face pressure to protest together from the trade union. So without any option, though you are interested, you being the individual employee, but still you have to support to the trade union or workers union. So this is a kind of social resistance. By knowing the kinds of and types of resistance, now let us move on to how to overcome resistance to change. So this resistance are easy to handle if we can handle it meticulously. Yeah. So when we implement change management, that has to be implemented in various stages rather than going as one. So we have to implement all of a sudden. We cannot expect change within over a night, or without giving time to the employees to understand what is about change and what are the steps involved in that. We cannot expect them a sudden change. So that is not correct way of dealing with change also. So that's the reason why we are asking and recommending the management to go by stages or implementing change management. The second thing which we have to keep it in mind is changes should never cause security problem for the workers, but instead it has to involve employees to participate and to come forward to proceed for these changes. Yeah, so and this is possible only through a proper and well communication. When it happens, definitely workers will come forward when they are very clear about why should we go for change and what is the necessity for us to go for change management and what are the steps involved in it. When it is clearly communicated, and also the benefits of be aspiring for a new state. So what are those benefits that organizations, stakeholders, employees are going to get? So if they really understand those benefits, definitely employees will come forward, they will be happy to participate. So this we have experienced in our college when we have made we are very oftenly we do have change management in our college. So one such example is paperless organization. We currently we are in the process of moving towards paperless organization. When it is told, all of a sudden we thought like, why we are going doing well, why should we think about it? But then our management is very clear in communicating as the need for going for needless paperless organization. And after knowing the benefits, we all gave our full support to our management, and we are successful in the transformation of paperless organization. Yeah, so when employees have such knowledge regarding the benefit and necessity of that particular change, definitely they will give you a support. So the next one is managers must consider the opinions of all employees. So we had this, actually we had a meeting, several meetings of why should we bother about paperless organization and how the things are going to be moving forward, and all this deliberation discussions which made us to understand the need for this particular change. So definitely we have to managers need to take the opinions of all employees within the organization. And if managers, they can portray leadership by first adapting to the changes themselves, employees are less likely to resist. So what they are expected to do, managers are expected to demonstrate themselves rather than expecting everything from the employees. Once they demonstrate, definitely employees will support, will have the desire to follow the managers. And the last but not the least, sufficient prior training of employees can help them accept changes with confidence. Proper training should be given by the management to the employees. So let us look into the history, business history, which teach us the significance of change management. Let us take the examples like Nokia, Kodak, Gateway Computers, and many more companies. Once they were the market leaders, but now we cannot see them, or we rarely see them. Why so? What is the very reason for its failure? The only reason is they fail to embrace change. From this, we can realize that change is inevitable, and change is the only constant in this VUCA world. So, what are the significance of change management? Today's business environment is driving change at an unprecedented level. The pace of change is accelerating, requiring businesses to oversee transitions to new processes and procedures on a regular basis. How can it be done, and what can guarantee for success? The only answer is change management. Let us take any example, any successful companies as an example. May it be Google, may it be Apple, may it be Microsoft, may it be Facebook, Tesla, BMW, or IBM, any successful company, they do adapt change management as their regular process. So, what is change management? We are frequently using this word change management, and today's topic is about change management. It is our responsibility to know what is exactly the change management is. Change management is a systematic approach to dealing with transition or transformation of an organization's goals, processes, or technologies. So we all know change is about moving from current state to the desired state. But what is change management? It is a process. It is a systematic approach to deal with such transition or transformation of an organization's goal, processes, or it may be change in technology, whatever the company is intended to go for. We have to plan in a systematic and scientific way so that we are successful in implementing change management. So, change management is all about the various methods and manners in which a company describes and implements changes within both its internal and external process. Change management also includes preparing and supporting employees, establishing necessary steps for change, and monitoring pre and post change activities to ensure successful implementation. It is the process of overseeing and facilitating change at any level where it is needed. It may be at project level, it may be at team level, or it may be to a work process or system. So what are the levels of a change? So there are three levels. The first and foremost thing is individual level. So when changes happens within the individual, that is said to be individual level. So individual level changes examples are, change in job role or job assignment. When an employee changes from one place to another place, or when there is when a change occurs in maturity of a person due to his experience or expertise. These are the examples of individual level changes. Though individual level change not significant on organization but significant on group. So the next level change is group level changes. It has major effect because organizational activities are done in groups. It affects workflows, job design, social organization, influence on status system and communication patterns, etc. So the next level of change is organizational level changes. It involves major programs that affect both individuals and groups. Decisions regarding these changes are generally made by senior management and are implemented by the support of managers. Having known about the various levels of change, it is time for us to know the types of organizational change. There are various types of organizational change. A company may follow any of these kind. The first and foremost thing is planned or proactive change. Planned change is a change resulting from a deliberate decision to alter the organization. It is an intentional, goal oriented activity. So, example of this change are launching a new product or a new service or a new business division, or deciding to expand the business internationally. So, these are the examples for the planned or proactive change. So the next category, next type is unplanned or reactive change. So unplanned change is imposed on the organization and it is often unforeseen. If we want to give me example, GST, though GST, we had a talk from the Congress government for a very long time, but BJP government suddenly it implemented GST. Yeah, business organizations, especially SMEs, were not ready to follow GST. They didn't expect that kind of implementation force from the central government, right? Without any option, they have to adopt to the GST system, tax system. So the next kind of organizational changes, adaptive developmental changes. These changes are small, gradual, iterative changes that an organization undertakes to evolve its products, processes, workflows, and strategies over time. So, any example for this is any improvement on the existing operations within a company. May it be the manufacturing, manufacturing processes upgradation, or following a new technology, moving towards advanced technology, or hiring a new team member to address increased demand, or implementing a new work from home policy to attract more qualified job applicants. Next of its kind is transitional change. Transitional changes happen when a business makes a transition into a new state of being. So example, one of its example is Byju's acquired Akash in Educational Services Limited. So the next kind is transformational change. This is the most drastic form of change within a business and is when a company decides to completely revise its current way of doing things. These are larger in scale and scope and often signify a dramatic and occasionally sudden departure from status quo. So example of its kind is if a company plans to introduce a new product which are entirely different from which it has been developing so far. So if they enter into a new sector or a new industry, so that is a kind of transformational change. Having known about the types of organizational change, let us focus on forces for change in organization. What are the forces or pushes that makes us to change? There are external forces and internal forces. External forces are classified as pestle factors, as we know. P stands for political, E stands for ethical, S stands for social, and T stands for technological, L stands for legal, and E stands for environmental forces. So the changes may happen in any of these areas which may force a company to go for change. So the other factor is internal factors. So the external factors are not controllable by the company or the organization, whereas internal factors or forces are within the company. And these forces like changes in managerial position or managerial personnel, like when the top management committee changes, when the leaders changes may happen. New leader may insist on a certain change, so you have to proceed with those changes. The next kind of it is declining effectiveness. For example, when the sales declines continuously, no other go, we have to take some actions, we have to look for some changes. So what is the reason for declining sales? Whether the product quality or the service part, so whichever, whether the customer service is not satisfactory after sales, so what is the reason behind that? By knowing that reason, we need to rectify our process, our manufacturing process, all the sales promotion strategies, whatever the case may be. So finding out the root cause and trying to rectify the problem for declining effectiveness. And the next of its kind is changes in work climate. Sometimes the changes in culture, changes in work climate is needed in order to support for the strategies. So to have a new strategy, if a company is planning for a new strategy, if that particular new strategy demands a new work climate or new work culture, in that case, without any option, we have to look for those new work climate or culture. So the next one is if there is any deficiency in existing system. So in case if you are traditionally following our old technology, then we have to move for the advanced technology. So any system for that matter, may it be production system, may it be customer service system, whatever the case may be, if you find any deficiencies in this system, it is right time to go for the advanced systems. So the next one is any crisis. If it happens within the organization, we cannot let the crisis go as it is. We have to take some actions, some remedial measures to stop those crises. So, and the next one is employees expectations. When employees are the stakeholders, not only employees, when the stakeholders expects a lot from the company, then it is right time to address their expectation. So in this situation, a company has to think for change management. So these are the forces for change within the organization. So next concept which we are going to discuss is principles of change management. There are four principles of change management. The first and foremost thing is to create a climate for change. So we need to create a thirst for change within the organization. We all know, in order to be successful, we have to be adaptable in nature. So we cannot live alone, or we cannot be away from the environment. We have to move ahead with the environment. We have to adjust with the environment, whatever the changes required by the environment, may it be internal or external environment. We have to be adaptable in nature. So the adaptable nature has to be inculcated within the organization. So that is about creating a culture and climate for change within the organization. The next phase, the next principle is engage and enable change. How is it possible? We have to make sure that the teams who are expected to have the change management, the workers and employees within the team are expected to give such information like why the change is required and what is the necessity for our company to think about this particular change and what are the benefits of these change. That has to be communicated clearly to the employees. And not only that, the steps or the process of this change management, what are the steps involved in that in order to move to the desired state. So what are the things or precautions or the procedures we are expected to follow. And if possible, if a leader, if a manager can demonstrate those changes, those procedures, it will definitely encourage the employees and the workers to follow them, and it will make them too easy to adapt to the changes, to engage those change and enable those change. So the very next principle is implement and sustain change. So once everything is planned, what is the expected goal from a particular change and how can it be done, what are the steps involved in doing this particular change, and what are the expectations from the management and from the employees, how can it be met. So when it is clearly communicated, then it is right time to implement a particular change and sustain with that change. So the last principle is review and reflect on change. So why review is needed? Because we want to know whether we have achieved our change goals or not. We have a certain purpose, a specific purpose or a goal for going for change, right? So at the end of the period, after implementing, we have to ensure, we have to check whether we have attained those goals and purposes of change or not. So once we are successful, we have to reflect on change. So these are the principles of change management. Let us see the excellent model of change management, that is ADKAR model of change management. A stands for awareness of the need to change. So this gives us the essential or primary role of creating awareness within the organization for the employees. Why it is needed for us to change, why should we think for change at this moment, and what is the necessity for us to change, right? This awareness has to be created. If they are comfortable in accepting the change, how is it possible? Only by creating awareness. So we have to give them a clear information regarding why the change is required and what are the steps we can go for proceed further with the change, and what are the outputs of this changes. Because of this particular change, what is that the goal or the output that we expect from this change process. Definitely every employee would like to be as a part of successful company, and at the end of the change process, he will get satisfied, he will get self motivated. Yes, I was the part of this change management process. So that awareness should be given at the initial stage of change management. So once they get the clear information, definitely every employees, every worker within the organization will have the desire to change. They will make sure that they participate in the change management. They will take a lead to initiate the change management process. And it is the responsibility of the managers to impart the knowledge of how to change, that is the process and sequences and the process of change process steps. So that has to be clearly given. So step by step, instructions, step by step knowledge has to be imparted among the employees, so that they will not have any confusion in their mind. And if confusion arises in their mind, definitely they will not support, they will not come forward to participate in change management process. So what they have to do is, employees should be given adequate knowledge on the process sequence and process of how to change, what are the steps, and what is that expected out of this particular change. The next one is ability to demonstrate the skills needed for change. So this has to be done by the managers or the team leaders, etc. So they should create the ability to demonstrate the skills needed for change. So they have to demonstrate the skills needed for particular change, so that the employees will follow them, and reinforcement of the change. So these are the five phases of ADKAR model of change management. Next, let us get into the steps involved in change management process. As we already mentioned, so we have to define the change clearly. What is that expected? Whether the changes needed in manufacturing process, whether we are intended to make changes in technology which we are following, whether the changes needed in MIS system, or whatever the case may be, that has to be clearly defined to the members of change management team. And we have to select those members, so who are going to be the part of the change management team. Then we need to identify the management sponsorship and secure commitment, because without commitment we cannot expect our employees, workers to commit themselves. So the first and foremost thing, we need to identify and communicate the same among the employees about management sponsorship and commitment. The next one is develop implementation plan including metrics. So we need to develop the implementation plan, that is the KRAs, key performance areas. So what are the KRAs that has to be fixed, and roles and responsibilities of the employees needs to be fixed very clearly. Then we need to implement the changes, so preferably in stages. As phases we have to implement change. We cannot all of a sudden, we cannot expect everyone to change all of within over a period of night. No, it is not possible. We have to adapt to the change management process as phases or stages. Then we need to collect and analyze data, quantify the gaps, and understand the resistance. So we have to understand the resistance. This is quite crucial part of any change management process, so that we can try to fill the gap of that particular resistance. So if we can rectify the resistance are those things which can be rectified very easily once we identify. The problem is identifying the resistance. Once we identify, definitely we can address them, and we can make sure that the change management process is going in a smooth and successful way. So the next one is modify the plan as needed and look back to the implementation stage. So if it needed, we have to look for changing plans. Otherwise, we can go ahead with the planned steps of changes. So we have to this is the pictures which clearly tells you the process of change management. The first step is always to define the plan and align the leaders with new strategic objectives. Next, we need to translate the vision of change into a reality for people, and therefore make it have a meaningful for each one of them. It is essential to communicate the vision and the goal of the change in order to generate commitment to the solution. Move the organization to the new desired state, and give people the tools to attain it. So we have to implement the change. Then the final step is to ensure that the expected results have been achieved, and that the change is sustainable over a period of time. Having known about the various steps, we should also know the phases of process of change management. So change, as we already discussed, change cannot be happen over a period of time. It has to happen as phases. So first we need to assess the change need. What is the need for change? So why is it necessary for us to think about the new process or new technology or new product or new product design. So why is so? How is it going to help us to increasing the value of the stakeholders, increasing the value of our customers, increasing the value of our product or services? So the first and foremost thing, we need to assess the change need. So the change need has to be assessed. Then we need to develop a change plans and execute those plans and track and monitor the how are we according to the plan that that monitoring should be there. And the last phase is change management exit. So the change management exit can happen in like we have to note down the lessons learned from the change management and what are the transition plan. And we also expected to celebrate success by recognizing leaders, change champions, end users, and everyone who have helped to make changes happen. Yeah, next we need to transfer the ownership officially transferring ownership for change to appropriate department or a group and close the change management process. So this is essentially vital for any organization in order to motivate employees for future change. So these are the five phases of change management. Now, let us move forward for significant factors of change management. So, we need to identify the need and communicate it properly. So, what is the, if we are not doing any of these steps, like, if not identifying the change need, if it is not clearly communicated to the employees, and if we are not employing any change agents, and if we are not if the people or the technology or the process or culture is not properly aligned with our change management process, so in that case any change management cannot be successful. So in order to be successful, we have to make sure that we have identified the problem exactly and communicate the same to the employees. So the clarity should be there. So this is the means of achieving change with its benefits, like what are the benefits that we are going to provide because of this particular change, either better working condition or optimizing the business value. So whatever the case may be, we have to tell them, communicate them in a very clear way the various benefits that the employees are going to get, that the stakeholders are going to get, that the customers are going to get, and because of this particular change, what are the benefits that the organization is going to get. So, and why is it needed for us to think about the change? So if it is communicated clearly, definitely employees will observe the need for the change and they will support us for the change process. Then we should also, if possible, it is our responsibility to employ the change agents. So who are the change agents? Change agents are those people who will who are responsible for changes to occur within the organization. They will show the clear path of how the changes can happen, and they will demonstrate among the employees. And employee, if possible, they can also give training to the employees so that they can remove the resistance for change among the employees. And when the management selects change agents, it is better if they can choose within the organization, because organization has to identify those change agents. Some employees may come forward, they will be interested towards a particular change. When we identify and communicate the need for change, at that time itself many employees will definitely show their interest in this particular change. So during that time itself, we can identify those employees who can act, or managers or leaders who can act as the change management change agent, and we can employ them as the change agents. If we are not finding any volunteers to act as a change agents within the company, in that case we can or if our employees are not familiar with the this particular change process, in that case when the change is very new to us, and no one is having prior experience with that particular change, if that is the case, we can also engage change agents from the outside, like consultants. We can engage them and we can give responsibility to them, and they can act as they can demonstrate those changes. They can also make our employees very clear about what are the steps involved in particular changes and how to proceed with that, etc. They will demonstrate it very clearly so that our employees will remove their resistance, and they will get training, clear proper training on how to make this change a successful one. And the very important aspect for any successful change management is proper alignment. So we need to make sure that our people are aligned properly with this change management process. So that change may be for the entire organization, and sometimes change may be for a specific department or for a specific team, whatever the case may be. So whoever is involved in that particular change process, that people, that employees should align themselves with that change. So you have to create that you have to you have to get the support from the people. And in the very in the same way, we have to get support from the existing technology or the process or the company culture. If our culture is not supportive to the proposed change, then it is high time to change our to make it flexible, or to make our culture to be flexible, so that that supports our proposed change. Yeah, so if we are not getting proper alignment either with our employees, or either with the existing technology, either with the process methods which we are following, or either with the company's culture, if that is the case, I'm sure definitely it is very difficult to have the successful change management. So it is vital for any organization to have a successful change management. The need identification should be done, and that has to be communicated to the stakeholders very clearly, and they should employ the change agents, and they should also make sure that their people, their technology, their process, and their work culture is properly aligned with the proposed change. So effective change management goes beyond the project management and technical skills undertaken to enact organizational changes, and involves leading the people side of major change within the organization. So if we are not getting support from the people, it is very difficult to have the successful change management. That's the reason why I'm again and again insisting on the point that we have to get support from the people, from the employees. How it can be done, we not to take much much of it doesn't require any complications. The very simple thing is we need to identify the need for change, and that need has to be communicated to them. And and the benefits of change has to be communicated to the peoples involved in that particular change. If it is done properly, and with that we should also demonstrate the changes, demonstrate the change process, how it can be done. Some leaders, some managers need to demonstrate it. Definitely people will give support, and we can also overcome the resistance. That is not going to be a challenge for any company. So the other significant factors for change management are prepare organization for change. We always we should have the adaptable organization. right? So or any company should be adaptable in nature, right? So we should prepare, we should always have the mindset for ready, which is ready for any changes if it is really needed. And we should also craft a vision and plan for change and implement those changes whichever is required by the environment, or whichever is required by the customer side or from the competition due to government force, whatever the case may be. We have to implement by realizing the need for those changes. We have by crafting the vision for and plan for those changes, then we have to implement the changes. And not only implementing, but we also embed change within the company's culture and practices. And periodically we have to review the progress and analyze the results, so that we will make sure that we are not missing any way. So periodically we have to review our progress, whether we are according to the plan or not. So is there any changes required, if any flexibility required? If it is so, we have to make sure that we are giving to that extent whichever the flexibility is required. Then periodically we have to analyze the results, we have to measure the results, we whether we are moving forward according to our plans, according to our process or not. So the results should be measured and analyzed periodically. So with this, I'm ending my session. Thank you for the opportunity. If any of the audience have any questions, you can ask me.
No questions, ma'am.
Okay.
No questions we received. Okay. Ma'am, we are grateful for the time and the efforts you took to share your thoughts with us. We appreciate having this area clarified. I mean, this emerging area clarified. Your years of research, your depth understanding, and your approach to anticipate users' intent was excellent. This topic really intrigues me, and I plan to learn more. Since we are entering a new growth phase on our campus, your ideas were timely. Even we'll try to go for paperless management soon. Your clear-cut explanation have set a new level of expectation for future performance. Really, your students are so lucky to have you. Now it's time to express our sincere gratitude. I request one of our FDP organizer, Mr. Gopinathan, Assistant Professor, Department of BB and BCom IESN, to deliver word of thanks.
Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver vote of the thank. I express my hearty gratitude to our chief guest who honored this FDP program with his inspirational thoughts. I would also express my thanks to our management, board principal, vice principals, staff members, students, participants, and last but not the least, our beloved technical team for making this faculty development program a grand success. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
To
So let it leave.
yes, ma'am. Can
Thank
to
you.
to improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. 2 days to go. We'll share the feedback link on the last day of the series. So until then, stay tuned. Do watch, subscribe, and share our programs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, organizers.
Thank you.